let's start with the East because this is honestly pathetic. The 10 and the 9 seed in the play-in tournament currently scheduled to play against each other are the Atlanta Hawks, with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray there still doing their thing. Trae Young having a little bit of a down year with some injuries he's been working through. He's going to miss the Celtics game later this week. Then we have the Bulls, the sadness of Lonzo Ball, big baller brand kind of destroying his ankles there. And honestly, neither of these teams are going to do anything where I could make an argument in the West. But how is your hopium meter right now for the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls?
Well, I think the Bulls, it's like 0, or maybe
Zero.
like 20. Like if it's on a scale of 100, the Bulls are at like 20 because their ceiling is this in-season tournament is this tournament thing here, the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Like I can't see them, like maybe they beat the Hawks, maybe. But then they run into a team like the Heat in the next round of the play-in tournament and they're not going to beat the Heat.
Yeah.
So, I think like their ceiling is winning a play-in tournament game. And so honestly, you might as well not even be in the playoffs. I think the Bulls should be out. I don't think they win. I think I would actually take the Hawks in that.
Yeah.
But the hope meter is pretty low.
Yeah, I would take the Hawks in this too, especially if we get a healthy Trae Young back. If this team can start to get healthy, I think if Embiid isn't playing, they could even beat the Philadelphia 76ers. And we currently have the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers scheduled to face off here. And I have Miami in this. I really like the addition of Terry Rozier. Adam Driver has been a really good addition. I liked him in the dunk contest. Watch his interview with JJ Redick. So Adam Driver is a good addition to that team. Can we get a healthy Tyler Hero? Then we're in business because for some reason, and I can't explain why, Jimmy Butler could not give a single fuck about the NBA regular season. And you know why? He's like, I want to be the 7th seed again because you know who I'm going to face? Milwaukee. They have no chance of catching Boston. Boston is 57-14, while Milwaukee is 11 games behind them at this point. So he knows he is locked into a rematch with the Milwaukee Bucks against the best, worst coach in the NBA. Had to add the second worst on there. Friend of the show, Doc Rivers.
Friend of the show indeed. Yeah. Miami, they remind me, and I think I used this analogy a couple weeks ago. They remind me of like the Ravens of the 2000s where like regular season, maybe they're 9-8, 10-7 at the time. We're talking about 9-7 and 10-6 or whatever. But once when they reach the playoffs, no matter who they face, they're going to make the other team nervous because Jimmy Butler, he's made it to 2 finals. He's been, even when he had the Kyle Lowrys of the world, obviously he made it to the bubble championship and then he made it back to the finals again. So I think that the Heat would have to win that play-in tournament, and I think they
Yeah.
would even beat the Bucks when it comes time in the first round.
Yeah. Because my problem with Milwaukee is I'm like, you got Dame, and you can drop probably 120 to 140 a night. But at the same time, people are like, oh, Bobby Portis. And I'm like, yes, Bobby Portis. I've seen Bobby Portis in the playoffs plenty of times, and he's come up plenty of times disappointing. Another person who comes up disappointing for Milwaukee, Brooke Lopez. Where do you go in the playoffs? Where every time you're off the floor, Milwaukee's like, oh, pretty good team in the playoffs. And then he
Yes.
comes back and Brooke Lopez just ruins that team when he's on the court, and he's not a good playoff performer. He's a great regular season center at this point, but in the playoffs, he hasn't really been the guy for them. And then also, are we just going to ignore the fact that Giannis is dealing with injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that plus this team, you mentioned them firing a coach midseason, replacing him with the best, worst coach
Yeah.
in NBA history, arguably. So, like, this Bucks team, between Giannis's injuries, between the chemistry issues, between them firing a coach midseason,
Yeah.
between them going on that streak that they went on where they were just terrible, and then on the other side of it, facing a team like the Heat who have that fear factor in them after all these playoff runs that they've been on, this is almost a guarantee. It feels like Vegas is begging for me to gamble.
Yeah.
So I would take, in this case, the Bucks to lose to the Heat in that first round, play in tournament, Doesn't matter about the 9 and 10 seeds. They're going to lose to the inevitable winner, the Heat.
Yeah, and it's like Milwaukee, what perimeter defense? Like Grayson Allen's gone. He's having a career year, even though the Suns have been struggling. So, and then we have Philadelphia there. I think, do you see Atlanta or Philadelphia? I think Philadelphia is probably going to get the A seed, lose in 4 to Boston.
Yeah, I think if it's how it always is, I mean, the Sixers, Celtics are talking about the NBA similar to the NFL. They want those matchups in the NBA playoffs, and I think
Yeah.
if they can find a way to have the Sixers face the Celtics just for that once again another licking in the playoffs. Joel Embiid, his father, he likes to come home every once in a while. Go back to Boston, get some nice warm bread, get some pizza at the local North end in
Yeah.
Boston, and get some nice warm milk from his father to end his season. Some nice warm cookies to end it all. So I think the Celtics steamroll the Sixers, they sweep them, and then they go on to the next round.
Yeah, and then let's go over these two brackets real quick. They're pretty much locked in to face each other. Even though the Knicks could slide up to that 3 seed there, but
Yup.
currently we have Philadelphia versus Indiana, and at this point I'm kind of over the Donovan Mitchell experiment because Donovan Mitchell, I'm sorry, you lost to the Knicks last year. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? First of all, it's like, okay, it's Cleveland. We get it. They're used to disappointment. It gets cold there in the winter, and no shade to Cleveland. It's a nice city, but like it's still the Cavaliers without LeBron James. And then Donovan Mitchell dealing with some injury issues. I don't like that. And then Tyrese Halliburton. Do I have more faith in him to step up at this point, or do I have more faith in Darius Garland? It's kind of a coin flip, but I will definitely take Tyrese Halliburton in the series to be the best player. And I honestly think that the Pacers can upset the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs, I'm just kind of like, when I see quotes of Evan Mobley saying, "Oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was." Yeah, it's the NBA playoffs. They don't watch film in the regular season or prepare nearly as intensely, and it just so happens that Tom Thibodeau is a pretty good coach in the NBA.
Yes, he really is. No, I think the Cavs, I was watching their games out at the bar this weekend. The Cavaliers, to me, they're just the epitome of like an average East team where no matter who they face off with, maybe it goes 6 or 7 games, but they don't do anything overly impressive to me. Like their bigs are solid, but not great. Their guards, I do like Darius Garland a lot, and I like Donovan Mitchell to watch, but
Yeah.
when it comes to like championship pedigree, like really, I don't really trust anybody outside of the Celtics and Heat in this East, and maybe the Bucks you can throw into there too. But the Cavaliers with the Pacers, they have a better coach. I like their 1-2 punch with Halliburton and Siakam. So like, I would take the Pacers to win in this case. I think they would upset them.
Do the Cavaliers remind you of the Toronto Raptors?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like with DeMar, Kyle, we had Valanciunas. That's fine. We cycle in Amir Johnson.
Well, hey,
whatever
Valanciunas, you could say like Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, like maybe similar styles there. And then like Darius Garland, I like a lot, but like where does he rank as far as like NBA? Like, is he a top 20 player? I don't know. It's an argument, but I don't think he's there. There's a lot of great players. So
Yeah, I feel like I know if we went through the top 20 NBA players, it's not Darius Garland.
if he's
Yeah.
if he's in the top 20, he's 20.
Yeah.
And we'd have to really go through it, and I don't think he would be there.
Yeah, but like Tyrese Halliburton, he's not the best player on his team, which is Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell just doesn't have a good pace in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I think that we would see the Pacers upset.
Yeah.
And then the next game, this next series is spicy. We got the Knicks and the Magic. Now you already know where I'm going to go. So where do you think this matchup goes?
It has to be the Knicks, right? Like
Damn right.
Orlando, like please. Okay, congrats Magic. You got to the playoffs. Oh, we don't know what it's like to be in the playoff picture without Dwight Howard and Shaq. Well, okay. It'll be this year, maybe the year after that. You're finally starting to, hit on your draft picks, sign some quality players on your team. Congratulations. You're the 5th seed. But Jalen Brunson last year with what he did with that team, and then you take a look at someone like Julius Randle, who somehow makes history for all the wrong reasons, and they were still able to overcome just how awful he was. And then you talk about people, an OG on your team. Yes, you literally have an OG,
And
not
Precious.
just figuratively, but by name, he's an OG. Then you also have someone like a Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo.
Yes.
You have a coach who's been in these situations before. Give me Jalen Brunson. He can take it. He'll play the minutes and puts up buckets.
I actually really like the Knicks this year, and it's unfortunate because I'm not a guy who usually falls for the hype, but this year I like Jalen Brunson a lot. I like that they made that OG Anunoby trade, which I think they won that trade. And the role players like Josh Hart, any given night, can hit 7 or 8 threes. Dante DiVincenzo, he's been really good for them. Like, I like Dante DiVincenzo a lot, and they have some really nice role players. This is a team that I think their ceiling is Eastern Conference Finals, but I think they can win a playoff series 100%.
Their ceiling is the Eastern. Well, no. Well, if they get the 3 seed, yes, I think they could make the Eastern Conference Finals, but you have to get out of the Celtics bracket. So if
Yes.
you're the Cavaliers, and you're the Magic right now, you're all within a game of each other. And that game is huge because that game is the difference between, are we going to play potentially Miami or Milwaukee in the second round, or are we going to play Boston in the second round? And right now, did you know Boston has not lost a home game to an Eastern Conference opponent this year?
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised. I think the Knicks, if they can avoid the Celtics at all costs, when they face the Celtics, they're going to get destroyed. I'm not that crazy. I haven't drank the Kool-Aid. I'm not overdosed. I am not a sentient being. The Knicks will not beat the Celtics. They will probably not win a single game. However, if they face the Bucks, I don't know. Things could get crazy. Doc Rivers versus Tom Thibodeau. I like Tom Thibodeau there. I don't know. It could get kind of spicy. If Giannis is banged up and it's Dame versus Jalen Brunson, we got two dogs head to head, but then role players wise, I don't know. I like what the Knicks got.